pumped up.
This is Zanaya.
It's the righteous vigilante Jamon Creek, and you're tuning in to Minds Wide Open. Hey, yo, check it out. This is Namestream, never mainstream. You're tuning in to Minds Wide Open Media.
Shout out to the Florida Vibe Directory. You are now listening to the best playlist in South Florida.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the Florida Vibe Directory. On today's episode, we got my boy Brandon Manoff in the building.
Happy to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, yeah. So I'm really hyped to have you in because you're actually our first guest that actually has to do with the world of house and electronic music. As crazy as that is, dude. So tell me, how did you get involved with that scene?
Since probably freshman year, sophomore year of high school, I've always been into electronic music. Just always kind of been into the rave culture, you know, that little rebellious high school kid going out and doing whatever. But yeah, just always listening to music, whether it was hip hop, rap, house music. And then as I progressed deeper into music in general, I just kind of gravitated always more towards dance music. Always a way to kind of let go and, you know, just dance and to be happy. You know, there's always good vibes. You can kind of listen to music or house music specifically, whether you're happy, you're sad, good vibes, bad vibes. It always just is a well-rounded genre of music, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. That's why I'm always involved in some capacity.
Always.
And after my first show, I was like, this is mind-blowing. I gotta keep having this.
Once you get that first like actual event and show you're there, I mean, so many people, they don't understand house music, they don't understand dance music, and then once you bring them to an event, to a show, they feel the bass, they feel the beat of the music, they see how the crowd reacts to just a subtle transition or a subtle change in a bass line. And after that night, after that event, people often are like, I understand why you like it so much. I understand why you're so immersed in that kind of a culture.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I completely understand what you mean, man. I've seen that awakening in people as well.
Oh, yeah.
Did this lead you to start DJing yourself?
Eventually, yes, it did. I didn't start DJing until my junior year of college, actually after a trip to Ibiza. It was just, it was so much fun. And my buddy and I, we kind of just looked at each other, we're like, you know what? We're going to be DJs. We're just going to do it. And I came home and went to Guitar Center. I bought my first little mixing board, and from then it was just history. I kind of just went balls to the wall, all in. Like, I'm just gonna do it, and
I love that.
Now I'm here. I mean, like 5-6 years later, I'm still doing it, loving every second of it.
Hell yeah, man! Glad to hear that.
Thank you.
So, at what point did you transition from DJing, which I know you still do, to throwing events?
I would say that was probably about 2 years ago, helping throw some shows in Jacksonville and just being able to take control of how the show was put on and the experience that the people who are coming to listen to music, what they get. I mean, even when I was in a fraternity in college, I would always be the one, like, this is how we're going to throw the party. This is how we're going to have the night kind of play out, where we're going to set up the bar, where we're going to place the DJ, how the lights are going to be set up, literally every little aspect, utilizing the space to the fullest capacity to give anyone who's there just like a wow, this is a well thought out party, even for a college kid.
Nice. And this was primarily in like house parties, would you say?
House parties, yes.
Nice. And it's the progression, I think, is pretty wild, right? Because when people see house parties, they think, oh, it's just kids partying. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of shit that goes into that, right?
Dude, a lot.
Like, after seeing the ins and outs myself, how do you think it's helped you be where you're at today with throwing events?
I think it's helped me in the way that I understand that you have to stay organized, you have to plan ahead, plan in advance, and just understand that, you know, things are going to happen that are out of your control, especially last minute things. Someone not showing up when they need to, equipment failing, not working, or just even an outlet just kind of blown up and you don't even have electricity. You have to go buy a generator at the last second. Literally ran into that like 2 or 3 times. And now transitioning into throwing events and shows at actual venues and nightclubs, it makes the process a lot easier and smoother because, you know, you understand what that kind of takes to throw a good show. And, when they already have sound and lighting and equipment and just everything is there for you, you don't have to worry about paying someone to stand at the door or security. It's kind of, you just got to focus on the little things like, all right, are we going to have this kind of a decoration, this kind of a DJ? What kind of vibe do we want to put out to the people who are coming?
I see. So you focus more on the energy of the show.
Exactly.
And what people are going to feel and experience as opposed to the venue and all those,
It depends on what venue. Some venues have the equipment. Some venues, especially here in Fort Lauderdale, you have to bring your sound and you have to bring the equipment. You have to get the person at the door to check tickets and IDs, kind of top to bottom, the whole shebang. You got to do it yourself.
Wow.
But I mean, that's what I love about it. It's the starting from nothing, seeing an empty venue, turning into something, and at the end of the night, like, wow, that was a hit. Everyone loved it. Like, that was a damn party.
Yeah, you see the people dancing, you see line at the door, like it's quite a rush.
Dude,
right?
it definitely puts a smile on my face.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So this has led to your latest venture, Upfront Entertainment.
Yes.
Amazing. So tell me more about that.
So that's kind of just a little side project, side hustle I'm starting at the moment, and I'm hoping to kind of just take it as far as I can. It gives me the opportunity to venture out on my own to these different venues and different places that may not normally have maybe house music or have the same promoters and the same event companies throwing stuff there. And I'm able to just curate a whole environment that I picture is the essential party,
I see.
I guess, per se.
I see.
Something that people can talk about for days, years to come, hopefully.
The most legendary party that there ever was.
Hopefully.
Sweet, man. Sweet. And how do you what things do you think will lead you to success in that route? Right? For Upfront Entertainment.
I would say just consistency. I mean, with anything, you can put your heart and soul into something, and maybe it doesn't work out the first time, maybe it doesn't work out the fifth time. But I think if you just kind of have a good attitude and just consistently keep at something, no matter what it is, eventually you will succeed at it. So I think skill, preparation, and like I said, just a good attitude will get you a long way. Someone says no, all right, didn't work out there, let's go here. Go to 10 different venues until that one place says yes, throw a banging party, then the other 9 venues are like, oh damn, we kind of messed up.
I see that. So this is where I think you'll see like a little bit of entrepreneurship in music, right? Because you got to be able to venture out on your own and be like, I have to make this deal with this venue who's never met me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how did you get to the point where you became comfortable with doing such a thing?
Literally just doing it. Working with the previous event companies that I've been with kind of gave me the courage to feel comfortable in my own skin to go out and talk to someone that I've never met before who, has the power to say, yes, you can throw a party here, or no, like, why should I entrust you to throw a party at my establishment? And having confidence in myself to prove to them, if I sound confident, like, I'm going to throw a banging show, it's going to be sick, I'm going to make some money, you guys are going to make a lot of money, let's do this.
I see that. Nice, man. And when it comes to finding the right DJ, what do you look for?
I'd say there's a couple of things that would go into it. I think first and foremost, the biggest thing is the type of music and the vibe they can put out. Okay. If anyone can be a glorified jukebox and kind of just play one song and play another song, but if your transitions are seamless and you play good music that flows from one song to the next, and you can take the crowd on a journey, and you can kind of tell that even just by listening to someone's SoundCloud mix, you can tell like this guy actually knows what they're doing, whether they have 2 likes and followers or 100,000 followers.
Amazing.
It could really doesn't matter. Like a person that has 100,000 followers could be really good at social media marketing, but be terrible on stage. And then you got the guy who isn't that good at social media, but is a production whiz and can actually absolutely just rock a crowd.
Amazing, dude. And then for any DJ that's out there listening, what advice would you give them to get booked more often? I
would just say stay persistent, get out of your comfort zone, and send those DMs, send those emails, shoot people a phone call or a text if you have their number. Like, don't be afraid of rejection, because that's something I've struggled with myself, being afraid of someone's going to say no or getting an answer that I don't like to hear. But in the end, those small little obstacles will kind of callous you to get to where you need to go. Greatness comes from adversity. So I kind of take that very seriously sometimes in life, where, it's sometimes times are tough. You don't get what you want, but just keep at it. And just no doubt in my mind, you won't make it.
It'll come.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Now, what role, I know we were talking earlier and we said everyone is a promoter in some capacity. You're a promoter.
Facts.
What does promoter mean to you in the music industry? Because I feel like I remember when I first took my first steps into the music industry, I just thought promoter was someone who promotes a show, and that's it. I never thought there would actually be the ones in charge of a show.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you define that?
I see it as kind of two different things. So you have the promoter, who is literally the promoter. They're the one putting on the company or the show, reaching out to the booking agents to hire the act, setting it up with the venue, and kind of doing everything from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have another aspect of being a promoter where you're literally just promoting. Like, their job is solely to push the flyers, push the show, help bring people to the venue, and spread the word about a super fun party.
I see. So they're the ones that just makes it spread like wildfire. That's
Exactly.
their job. And they get a cut for it, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Depends on which company has what kind of deals with them. And, there's different incentives. If you sell X amount of tickets, maybe you get X amount of dollars per ticket you sell, or something like that, a free entry to the show. Maybe if you sell a bunch of tickets, a VIP, backstage pass, a free bottle. Who knows what it is? But
they got a lot of incentives to sell.
A lot of different companies that have, honestly, some pretty cool ideas, especially with music festivals. If you sell X amount of tickets, your ticket's free. If you sell even more tickets, then you get maybe you and a couple buddies in for free, or you get free VIP to a whole music festival, which is, that's actually pretty cool. That's definitely a good incentive.
Yeah, so you could see how it's not as black and white anymore with
Mm-hmm.
promoters. Like, hey, sell tickets to get money.
Mm-hmm.
Companies are trying to get a little bit more creative
Exactly.
with the incentive.
Because a lot of people don't like the connotation of being a promoter.
Hey, I've noticed that myself,
Mm-hmm.
actually. They're like, I'm not a promoter. Well, all you do is promote.
Yeah. And so to get people out of that idea of I'm a promoter is looked down on, because, they're kind of just spamming social media.
Right.
They're just constantly posting on their stories, or making just regular posts, and people don't like that. And some people take their social media seriously, where like they want to have a certain presence or a certain persona online. And if they're just spamming followers, people don't like that. They'll lose followers. They'll be like, oh, that guy I don't want to follow him. I don't even, like, I just see him out, like, ugh. But
Yeah.
I don't really think that's true. I think you should, if you think a show's going to do well, hell yeah, tell everyone, get people out there, like fire your friends up to come, because it's going to be a fun party. You want your friends to come and have a good time as well.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And I always think if you end up losing followers because of it, they were never meant to be your follower in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to curate your own audience. And if they don't like it, the unfollow button's right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I definitely see that. When it comes to throwing shows, how important are contracts?
I'd say they're pretty important, even at the least. Having something through email, not just text, like an email chain where you have something said, if you're going to get X percentage of the bar, or you'll be able to start at this time, or just anything, so that if something doesn't happen and there's a significant monetary loss, but you're owed money, or your expectations are not being met, you can look back through as little as an email to be like, this is what you said. And, who knows the extent it happens. But for bigger shows and bigger venues, I think it's very important to have an actual written contract with signatures and everything to make it legit. That means the venue will take you seriously, and it kind of even helps yourself take things more seriously. You think you're more serious, and you just hold yourself to a higher standard.
I see.
And just have everything kind of run smooth.
Yeah. And I think it kind of gives you a little bit of that safeguard. Like,
oh, absolutely.
This is on paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely prevents the worst from happening. And if the worst does happen, then you have a legal document that says you messed up. You better fix this right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that's happened to you before, you know, like actually has it like where, you know, maybe you worked out a deal with someone, like I'm supposed to get paid either as a DJ or maybe as a event owner, you know?
It's happened actually as both, as a DJ and as me throwing an event. And we had nothing in writing, not even an email, just on the phone talk. And, you know, I ended up not getting paid. And, you know, you learn from it. And then with the event, we were supposed to have a show on such and such date. And it comes to like a week or two beforehand. We reach out to the venue. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to set up. And they like, we don't have you down. Like, you're not throwing an event here. We have someone else. I'm like, no, we're definitely throwing a show here today or on this date in a couple weeks. And I'm like, no. I mean, there's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could back it up except for us remembering the conversation we had.
Man, that's tough. That is a hard lesson to learn.
But you know what happens? And prevent it next time.
So always have a paper trail.
Always.
That's a good advice.
Always.
Hell yeah. It's very important, man.
And some people, like, they think having a contract or by you taking things as seriously as a contract, it's like, why are you doing that? Like, it doesn't need to be like that. But I just think that means they're not trying to take it as seriously. They don't think that it's necessary so that if something does happen, then they can just kind of back out. They're like, whatever. Like,
So it's like a red flag.
I think so,
when you're
yes.
trying to work with a venue or anyone for that matter. I can definitely see that. You mentioned having a contract maybe with a venue and it's saying that you get a percentage of the bar. What did you mean by that?
So, you know, depending on the show or what you negotiate with the venue, they might give you a percentage of the bar sales. So if you're guaranteeing 500 people, 1,000 people to come to their venue, those people are going to spend money at the bar. They're going to drink, they're going to party, they're going to have a good time. So by you negotiating with them, okay, I want 10%, 15, 20% of your bar sales, that helps you as the promoter or the one putting on the event earn that extra income, have a little bit extra cash to put in your pocket. Maybe the ticket sales at the door weren't the best, or, you know, out of the 500 people that were there, only 250 came. And, you know, you didn't make as much as you thought, but you have that agreement with the venue and you got 20% of the bar. And if the bar makes $4K, you're making some, you know, a little extra money to put in your pocket to put in for the next show.
Amazing. And do venues usually include that in contracts, or they usually tell you, you know, past a certain point, we'll give you a percentage?
It could be either or. And especially, I mean, if it's just 20% overall, if it's 15% after the bar hits 3K, like whatever the deal is, I highly suggest you also have that in writing.
Definitely.
Last thing you want is people not to be coming or the ticket sales aren't the best. And then you're like, all right, I know the bar made X amount and I'm able to get a couple $100 from it. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oof.
That would suck.
Yeah, and they'll definitely just turn a blind eye. Like, that never happened. Oh, that's rough, man. When it comes to booking a DJ, what do you think should be in a contract?
Ideally, from what I've seen, it's mostly up to the artist or their booking agent that kind of handles that. I mean, what we want is just them to show up on time, play their set, have a good time, and rock the crowd. That's all we can ask for, really.
Gotcha.
Just be a cool DJ, cool artist. But what we see is, you know, we have to handle everything from picking them up at the airport, buying their flight ticket, their hotel tickets, buying them food, whatever. And, you know, if it's a good artist and you know the show's going to be a rager, like whatever, it's worth it.
Hell yeah.
You know, the artists and their agency, their management definitely expects a certain tier of accommodation.
I see. So I think there's a sense of hospitality that people don't see when it comes to booking people.
Absolutely.
Or booking DJs. You know, like you mentioned, riding them from the airport to your venue, taking them out to eat. That is something most people probably don't expect from someone throwing a show.
Absolutely. And even little things like in their riders, you know, some, like any artist, whether it's house music or a rapper or a country artist, you know, they might have some crazy thing in their rider. They need to have 6 bottles of water and like a pack of like cheese sticks or something random. Like seriously, it's the most random stuff in these riders. Like I saw one that had to have these tiny glasses, and I mean it was so specific. It was like 30 millimeters thick and like this wide. I'm like, wow, that's wild. But it was hilarious. I mean,
yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's hilarious. So you say the word rider. What exactly does that mean to people?
I'd say that's more of like an extension of the overall booking contract, where it's just while they're playing and when they're at the venue, it's what they expect to have readily available to them. Usually like a bottle of some type of alcohol, some waters, specific drinks, specific number of guest list spots for their friends, extra drink tickets, just random stuff like that.
I see.
And then obviously the bigger the artist, the crazier their requests can be.
I bet.
Oh, yeah.
I bet there's some really popular bands out there that are notorious for some crazy riders.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So this is all sounding like pretty complex when it comes to, or it can be pretty complex when it comes to building an actual show and making it successful. How important is a team to make it actually happen?
I'd say it's very important. Whether your team is you and a buddy or you and 10 other people, just in general, having that support group to help you out if something goes wrong, or someone that you know you can count on to manage something that could potentially go wrong, or just making sure everything is running smoothly. Because the last thing you want is to be the sole person putting this event on, 2 or 3 things go wrong, and you got 5 people asking you, like, help this, do this, what do I do here, how do I do that? And get overwhelming real quick.
Hell yeah. Now you got to worry about everyone else's problems plus your own.
But that what brings us back to keeping organized and planning beforehand so the show runs smooth, so you can mitigate your risk and hopefully not have those problems occur.
I see.
So if everything is smooth, everyone understands what to expect and how the show is going to run, you should really not have those problems.
Cool. Definitely good to keep note for anyone out there listening, whoever wants to throw a show, or maybe just goes, hey, I just want to throw a house party. It could lead to some great things down the road.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I mean, who knows? You could make a living off of throwing parties. Like that's your job, to throw fun parties. Like that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. You do have a passion for DJing and also for throwing events. Do you feel like there's ever been a confliction between yourself? Like, man, I either gotta be a DJ or be an event, manager. Has there ever been a confliction? Like, I'm gonna go either or I gotta do both?
I've definitely had the thought about it a couple of times. Like, do I want to focus on being a DJ and trying to produce music, or go the more business route and be the guy behind the scenes, throwing the shows and booking the DJs for everyone to have a good time with. But I think it's good to be able to have both. I mean, myself, I'm not a good music producer. I've never got super into it. So that's kind of like where I love finding new music. I love spinning tracks and just like making mixes and stuff like that. But, at some point I had to realize that I'm not going to really go anywhere as a famous DJ or really make it in that world if I'm not producing my own tracks. And then on the other hand, I want to throw events, and I have a solid business background, and that's kind of the route I feel more comfortable doing. And if I'm throwing my own shows, I can put myself on the lineup and I can play. It's not good that I do that all the time, but it gives me a chance to still put myself in the spotlight and be on stage and rock a crowd and feel that energy that they're throwing back at me by playing a certain track or something like that. It's really fun to be able to do both.
That sounds very gratifying overall.
Absolutely.
Definitely, man. How important is it to actually go to shows, right? Because I've I felt like my viewpoint of the music world was so small, right? And then it wasn't until I started going out more that I started realizing, wow, there's a lot more out there in terms of the way you can finagle sounds and make it all crazy. Has that influenced you at all when it comes to deciding when or who to put on a show?
Absolutely. It's tough to get yourself to go out, every day. Because, especially South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, there's something going on 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's after midnight when things start, or when you're going to go out. So, being up until the sun comes up and longer, it takes a toll on you. But, in the long run, it is worth it making those connections, meeting different DJs or power players in the industry and, getting comfortable, again, getting out of your comfort zone and talking to people that you might not normally have the courage or even just be in front of to talk to, have a face-to-face conversation so they can put a face to your name when you do reach out. And, making those connections, maybe that person you talk to doesn't have any way to help you, but they have a friend that can. And it's all a networking game, no matter what side of business you're in, the music industry, entertainment, law, anything. Networking, I think, is a big part of everything, just in life in general.
Definitely. And I've seen that. So do you think even introverted people could technically become event planners? Or is it very exclusive to just being, extroverted because you can make those connections and you can make that happen?
No, I don't think it's exclusively for an extrovert at all. I think you might have an easier time navigating the scene and the industry itself if you are an extrovert and you kind of have that outgoing personality where you can go up and talk to anyone, and if they kind of give you the cold shoulder or tell you to fuck off, whatever, you're just like, all right, whatever, like, doesn't care, I'll go to the next guy.
Yeah.
Who cares? Whereas, if you are an introvert, all right, maybe you won't do that, but I feel like maybe you might be more calculated on who you talk to. You might not take as many risks, but when you do take those risks, you kind of understand that, all right, I kind of know what's gonna come out of this. I don't know. It really just depends. I just don't think it's exclusive to either part. I think everyone kind of has an equal opportunity to throw shows and make something of themselves. It just depends on how much effort and work you put into it.
Definitely, man. I'd love to hear that. I can definitely see that being an inclusive environment. It's just how you go about it.
Absolutely.
I myself have met some people who are actually really weird. And they're like really weird, but they throw crazy shows. But when you meet them, they got like zero social skills. They're just like, I don't know. Like, I don't do talking too much, but I'll throw on a banging show, and it catches me off guard, bro.
Yeah. Some of these people, they could be super odd and what we would think as super weird, but those are the people that when they're by themselves, sitting alone in their room, their office, at their desk, they have some of the most creative minds. And that's where, even goes back to, like you were saying, is it important to have a good team around you when throwing these shows? So you got someone who is super creative and can think outside the box, but maybe doesn't have the social skills to implement them and reach out to people and be comfortable throwing the event themselves. And they have a team with them that they're comfortable with, that they rely on to maybe talk to the venue owners or negotiate contracts and, all these different agreements. And collectively together, they can throw one hell of a party.
Yeah. So if you're lacking in it, just hire someone or just have them be on your team. Yeah.
Just find someone you trust, or if you can't, then, you're shit out of luck. You kind of got to do it yourself.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that being in this scene of throwing shows, you have to be out, especially late at night. Especially in Miami, out of all places. To me, it's like the southern New York. It never sleeps. It's literally another city that never sleeps. Do you think that's ever taken a toll on you?
Absolutely. There's been weekends where, from Friday to Monday morning, maybe I slept 5-6 hours total, if that. And that next week, especially going to work at a day job, 9 to 5, I'm falling asleep at work. It's definitely a risk, and you can get sick. Your health can deteriorate, but that's where I think having a healthy lifestyle outside of the party life is important, which, I got to work on myself sometimes as well. Stop eating out all the time. But, it's important to consider your health when you're going to these parties and stuff. I know too many people that it doesn't matter if they're going out for an hour on a Tuesday or all night on a Saturday. They're drinking till the sun comes up, or they're finding a way to get high or do drugs. And, for me to not have to worry about drinking or falling under that kind of a peer pressure, I'll drive down to Miami. So I know I'm not leaving my car down there. Hell no. I'm going to drive home, so I'm not going to drink. I'll have maybe 1 drink, 2 drinks in the 8 hours I'm down there, and just drink water, have a club soda so it looks like a drink or something. Like, who cares? Like, just, for me, it's really about like we were saying before, the networking or for the love of the music. Like you really don't need to get all messed up on whatever.
I see.
Maybe it's fun every now and then, but
yeah. So moderation,
exactly,
definitely plays like
100%.
a massive role in being successful in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that myself is something I've realized because it's very tempting, especially when you're in an environment that is all fun and good times. You get stuck in the cycle of fun and good times.
Yeah,
and it can become a toxic cycle. So
especially when we were saying you're going out, you're meeting new people, and some of these people who we live in Fort Lauderdale, they live in Miami. They maybe are one of those crypto guys, or they have an online business where they can work 4 or 5 hours a day in the afternoon, but they're going out the night before and partying, whatever, and getting hit up. Okay, let's go out here. Okay, next night let's go out again. The same thing every weekend, just constantly going out. You got to find time for yourself, or figure out how to be able to go out and do stuff for yourself and advance your career, especially with the networking and meeting people, while not falling into that trap or that cycle of just constantly getting hammered all the time.
Yeah, that's moderation. Again, just tying it right back into that. You got to know your limits. You got to know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember myself waking up one morning just extremely hungover. I met a lot of cool people. I'm like, okay, that was good. I met some important people. I was like, okay, that's good. But then I had work like immediately, just in the morning, and I'm like wrecked. And I'm like, that was a bad decision. So it taught me that right then and there. I was like, nah, I gotta find a way to balance this.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to, let's go back to actually getting artists, right, to show up at a show. How do you go about that?
Like when you're booking them?
Yeah, how do you book them, right? Because I think some people are just like, oh, just hit them up on Instagram. But I don't know if everyone's that readily accessible.
No. You kind of have to go through the proper channels. You don't just reach out to an artist, especially if they're, a big time artist or a celebrity in general. You can't just DM them on Instagram and be like, hey, I want to book you for a party. Like, is that cool? They're probably not going to respond. You have to know, okay, what agency are they signed to? Who's their management? Who's their booking agent? And then you have to reach out to them, is that artist even available on the date you want? And if they're not, like, all right, is there any other artist? You have to, throw them an offer. Like, what makes them want to come and play your show, especially if they're a big name and they have all these other options? Like, what separates you from every other promoter that's throwing a party out there?
Wow, that's a good point. So what advice would you give anyone for differentiating themselves? Like really being the reason anyone would want to work with you?
I'll just like, confidence. Confidence is key.
Okay.
When you're sending out those emails, like, look, this is going to be a sick party. Don't say that verbatim. You got to be a little more formal.
It's gonna be sick, dude.
Just throw out a good offer. See if they're what your budget. Give them a price. They'll kind of see if they can work with you. Some artists are like, no, hard line. This is where we're at. Some, up and coming might be a little more flexible to work with you, especially in today's times, with COVID and everything. Not as many places were throwing parties. Like, now things are definitely opening up a lot more.
Yeah.
But I'd just say, who cares? Just go for it.
All right.
Send out those emails.
Yeah. Just see what fucking sticks.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Just
exactly.
Shoot your shot.
Having connections again to maybe you have a good friend you met out that one night that you stayed out until 11 in the morning at Space. And, you're like, okay, I know that guy is friends with this DJ and knows his agent or his management, gives you that connection. And you want to have those connections and those relationships with different agencies or management, because in the end, like, you want them to enjoy working with you and feel comfortable coming to your shows or your parties. Money obviously is money talks, but at the end of the day, if you're going to throw a sick party and you're going to throw them good money, but you're a dick, you're an asshole promoter, and you don't treat people right, and you're yelling at people and just not making a good environment for the artist, and then maybe you got another promoter that may be a little bit under that budget that he threw in the first place, but damn well it's going to be a fun time. The atmosphere and the vibes are going to be fantastic.
Right.
And so, it just depends. I'm not in that position where I'm getting asked to play shows for a couple $1,000s. I wish, but that's definitely what I've seen to my experience.
Those who are delightful to work with usually end up getting a better
Exactly.
end of the stick. Yeah.
People want to do business with people they're friends with.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't understand this side of music is that at the end of the day, it is just business.
Yes.
Like it's kind of crazy, but it's not all fun and games all the time.
Yeah.
It can actually be sometimes even cutthroat.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Different promoters. I throw a party on Friday night. Some other guy's like, this guy's going to take my crowd. Screw him. I'm going to throw a party at a different venue this night. It's going to be way better. And I hate seeing that because, music industry, I think whether any kind of genre, especially house music or just dance music in general, it's such a community-based genre of music or just environment. Like you go to these shows and rarely you'll see fights. You barely see people angry. It's always a happy-go-lucky, good vibe, atmosphere, very inclusive. Kind of anything goes. Anyone is welcome at these events. I think that's so cool. Where you got competition between other promoters, other DJs, other event companies, whatever. But like who cares? Like there's enough of the market share out there for everyone to do what you want. Work together. If one promoter, one company has one specialty and you have another, come together, combine yourselves to throw one epic party. Figure out a profit sharing way or somehow you're going to split it all up to be fair with each other and just have fun.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you do what you're doing because you love it or because you love the music, I don't think you'll have a problem doing anything. It'll kind of just come and everything will fall into place.
Amazing, man. Amazing. And is there anyone that kind of inspired you to kind of continue going forward in music?
I wouldn't say there's anyone specifically. Just growing up, music was like an escape. I would see these videos of crazy parties. I remember specifically like junior year of high school, like when I really started getting into house music, and I saw the after movie for Ultra Music Festival. And I'm like showing my parents, I'm like, this is the sickest thing ever. This is crazy. Look how many people are jumping up and down, having the best time ever at this massive stage, just listening to good music. And they're just like, yeah, whatever, like, who cares? And then I actually went to Ultra in 2013, and that just totally changed my life. Just seeing everyone there, like some shows you go to, maybe like a rap show or even a country concert, you bump into someone, it's like a switch. They get so angry and they're like, what the hell, man? Like try to fight you right there. But I don't know, most house music shows or dance shows you go to, you step on someone's shoes, you bump into them, you slip and fall, and you like knock the drink out of someone's hand. It's like, oh, dude, no worries, it happens. Like, what's your name? Where are you from? You might encounter some pretty fucking weird people, like really weird.
Yeah.
Or you can meet someone that's just like, it's all good, bro. Like, let me buy you another drink. Like, I feel bad. And then you meet like a really cool person who maybe even happens to be a DJ or like whatever. It's just, there's always room for growth and connections at these events. And I think that's really why I wanted to continue to throw shows. And that's why I love doing it in college for fraternity parties, helping throw shows now. And I see myself doing that long term.
Amazing. Yeah, I can. I see the vision.
Thank you, man.
It's a powerful thing to have it and believe in it and really have it become fulfilled. And it will be.
Absolutely.
What was the best show that you've ever thrown to so far? Like, do you feel like that was like so memorable for you?
I'd say the best one I've thrown was probably one of the house hat shows that we threw when I first moved down here. We had an artist booked and he got COVID like a week before. And so he had to bail, and we were just planning on just not going through with it. Like, we have to cancel the show. And my roommate Mike and I were kind of just sitting there like, what can we do to salvage this? Like, last minute, a week and a half out. And we found an artist that's up and coming in Miami who we're good friends with. And he was like, happy to do it. Let's do it. We threw a show at McSorley's rooftop right here in Fort Lauderdale. And we kind of went all out, just good sound. I think the key was decorations. I mean, it was a carnival themed party, and had all these like balloons and flags and lights and everything. It was totally just transformed this place.
Wow.
And with the right people helping us push it out and getting people out there, it was just a hell of a fucking party. It was absolutely insane. It was so much fun.
I love the sound of that. I can just envision it, that it's just like...
Yeah, it was great.
Everybody, hands up. The beach is right there. You mentioned it was McSorley's, right? So right on the beach. That sounds beautiful. When it comes to throwing shows, you mentioned decorations being like pretty important. Why is that? Like, why do you feel it's so...
I would say it's important for the kind of show you want to throw. Like the show I have coming up on September 18th in Wynwood at the upstairs of Racket. It's a smaller venue upstairs at least, and it's a darker room. It's a boiler room style atmosphere, so you don't really need too many decorations. Although I like to have the hanging plants and kind of make it a vibe that goes along with the style of the music. Like if it's a Tulum style Afro house, like melodic techno, I want to create that atmosphere. Yeah. And then with McSorley's, it was a carnival themed party. So it was like bump and tech house. It was just great. And I think it's important to have those decorations and create that environment, which will just overall enhance the customer's experience. Like if you have someone come into a venue, the music could be amazing, which I think is honestly the overall number one thing. You have to have good sound and good music that's gonna be played, but you want to create an environment that is fun, that you're looking around like they put effort into this. And if you put effort into it and it looks like you transform the place, then the people coming to party are gonna have fun and you're gonna have more fun. And especially the DJs, if they're loving it, the crowd's gonna love it. It's just reciprocating those vibes back and forth.
I see. So it's all about making it an experience.
Absolutely.
As opposed to just another show.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And each one's different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one thing I appreciate the most about throwing these events is how versatile you can get with it. You can be like, I want to make a Tulum show, a jungle show. And then the next one, you're like, fuck it, we're making all white, like...
Yeah. You can get creative.
Show.
You can get so creative from, like you said, a jungle Tulum style show or like a carnival or a beach theme or who knows. Like you can just get creative. Like the weirder the name or the style of the show, the more creative the decorations and the crazier the experience. Like honestly, Elro is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Like that is just wild with all the confetti, the people on the stilts and the costumes. That's amazing. Like that is so cool.
Completely agree. And for anyone in the audience that does not know, Elro is an event company that does carnival, basically like everything you would imagine a circus to be, and music, like a big DJ and a party, just clash aggressively and become one massive, insane party. They throw confetti. They got everything. People on stilts, actors, gymnasts, everything. People hanging from the ceiling. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience, and that's why I'm very excited for Art Basel this year. That'll be a fun one.
For sure. I think that's going to be an incredible event, and that's a good one. So where do you see Upfront Events going for in the future? Where do you want it to be at?
Ultimately, I would love to have, like, my goal with Upfront Events is to have a party that's universally known around the world as, if we throw a party in Miami, it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be a banging party. I go to Barcelona, I throw a party, sold out no matter what. Like, you're gonna expect a great experience and just a hell of a time. And I think now Upfront being so new and where we're going, I think within the next year or so, that's going to help me to get to where I need to be just by, like I said, putting in the time, putting in the effort to curate this event, this vibe, this experience, a traveling party around the world. And it's cool because you see like Elro or a Paradise or a Circo Loco at these big festivals, they have like their own stage or they'll have their own like little party within a music festival and they curate their own lineup throughout the day or the 2-3 days that it is. And I think that's so cool. It's so unique to be able to have a mini festival within a festival.
Yeah.
That's definitely a big goal of mine.
That's I've never really thought of it that way, but it really is a party within a party.
It's so cool.
And they probably negotiate like, hey, you're using our brand, our party brand, we're gonna bring this experience to your already overarching experience.
Yeah.
You can pay us for it, and people get paid for it.
Literally. I mean, that's the power of good branding, good marketing, is you see that name on a flyer, you don't even look at the lineup. You just know it's going to be a great party, great time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see these parties get announced without the lineup, and tickets are sold out.
Yeah.
Before the lineups even dropped. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, it is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Actually, the power of that
Right?
brand. Yeah, what it can do. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. Really is. So tell me, when it comes to Upfront, you mentioned what other events you got coming up?
So we have this one on September 18th in Wynwood, down in Miami, at Racket. It's going to be a Tulum style, Afro house style party. Just good melodic vibes. Just a very fun party. We'll do, like I said, the decorations with. I'm not even gonna say anything. Just let it kind of come out. People can see it on their own, but it'll be great.
It'll be an experience.
Oh yeah, and then from there, we're looking at a couple other venues we have in mind for a day party. One's a pool party. One's again down in Miami. And once those are solidified, then I think we'll launch that and just kind of take it from there. Just really curate these events and have some fucking fun.
I love the sound of that, man. I love the sound of that. It's gonna be quite a ride.
Absolutely, man.
Forward, man.
Absolutely. Very excited.
Hell yeah. When you look for a venue, because you said there was like a boiler room, right? What do you really look for? Because I've seen so many different events being like warehouses, a boiler room, a disco theater. Like, what makes you decide what venue to go with?
I think that depends on the style of the music that we'll be playing. Really, anything can work for anything, but when you're curating a vibe, you're curating an experience. If it's a super dark room with no lights or anything, you don't want to have something that's super like happy and upbeat. Although that's amazing, I'm sure that'd be great to have in there. But if it's a dance party where it's not just kind of bobbing up and down, vibing, it's you're jumping up and down. You're like, it's a full on jammer of an event. You want to have the sick lights. You want to have room for people to move around and really enjoy themselves. So when you're saying you're looking at different venues, you want to look how much capacity they have, how many people can be held in there. Like maybe even like, are they willing to work with you on the bar deals? Is it a place where you see people coming to a party? And even if it's completely out of the way, like you said, a warehouse. With a warehouse, that kind of gives you that underground, grimy, industrial kind of vibe where like, okay, this could be like, that goes very well with like maybe some minimal deep tech or like tech house or obviously some banging techno.
Yeah, really good techno.
Right? And at those kind of things, you'll just expect to have a certain vibe. And so, if you're looking at maybe a more high-end venue, like maybe somewhere on the water or just a classier place, maybe you want to have a classier style house music, classier style experience.
I see.
Where you attract a certain type of crowd as well.
I see.
Like what's your target audience for the show? What kind of people do you expect to come and pay money to come to this event?
I see. Yeah, that will definitely give you a good idea for how you want to market it and also who you want to put on that lineup.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I think one thing that always blew my mind about house music in particular is how different it is all over the world. If we're talking like Miami, tech house is very popular.
Oh yeah.
Especially Orlando, actually just Florida in general.
Yeah.
I would say tech house is it. But when we go to New York, it shifts a little bit. I think tech house is very big there, but I think there's a lot of influence from Europe as well. What have you seen as these like differences, and have you ever thought about how you can capitalize on that?
Absolutely. if you're looking for a more mainstream style of music, especially with like tech house or specifically the American style of tech house, is what is just blowing up around honestly the world, but especially in the U.S.
I see.
But then you go out to, let's say, South America or over in Europe, and you still have tech house, but it's just different. It's a little faster, maybe, or it has that kind of a Spanish twist to it almost, and it's not as, I guess, a classic way to say it was just all based around like boots and cats, that kind of a sound. It is like that, but there's so many more elements involved into it, where here it's just everything is that, maybe a little tweak here and there, but you got these songs that are just going crazy popular, which they're great, don't get me wrong, but I like a differentiation in my music. And then also, if you come down to Miami, like you're saying, in New York, it's different. It's a little more chill also, and they kind of have a deeper house music style, which I think is starting to really come up and be more prevalent in Miami with a lot of Afro house, a lot of melodic techno, especially like the minimal and deep tech. But really that Afro, like Tulum, I keep going back to the Tulum style house music, but especially during the pandemic, I mean, it seemed like Tulum stayed open the whole time. And that's where everyone wanted to go. And so with those kind of shows here, especially with a big Latin culture, it just thrives.
It blew up.
It thrives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, man. And I wanted to say, I think a lot of people got it kind of misconstrued. They see EDM and they immediately associate house as EDM.
Yep.
What do you think is the difference when you gotta point it out to people?
I'd say EDM is more or less like almost just like a top 40. Like it's just electronic dance music, which a lot of it is all pretty much electronic. You're making it on the computer. Mm-hmm. But when you think of house, you think of like, yes, more dancing, but like you got that piano style in it, or you have a lot of good bass lines, good percussion, like a lot more rhythm, I think, as opposed to just a big main stage at a festival was just jumping up and down the whole time, something that appeals to the masses. Where if you go to just house music, it's almost like a niche kind of a market or an audience in that kind of a sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's very important to draw that distinction.
Yes, it's underground. I mean, when people say underground house music, I mean it's underground dance music. It's something that I had someone at work the other day show me like a Steve Aoki song, which, I grew up listening to Steve Aoki. I love his music as well, but it's not something I would necessarily play at one of my shows, or that I would book an artist who's going to play something like that. Because the demographic in the crowd that we're looking for with, real true house music is that underground sound that, maybe not everyone's heard of it, but like something that I believe it was Frankie Knuckles, I heard him say, was a good DJ plays music that you didn't know you wanted to hear. So you go to these mainstream, main stage festivals, main songs, whatever, and like you're going to know like 80-90% of these songs.
Facts.
But you go to some of these shows down here in Miami, these warehouses, these boiler room style shows, just underground house, and maybe throughout the 8 hours you're out there, you'll hear like 3 songs and you pull out your phone to try to Shazam these songs and nothing's coming up. But you're like, I love this track. This is amazing. Like, this is so much fun. You'll hear new songs every time you go out.
So true, man. So true. And I've been a part of that experience. And it's insane.
Yeah.
Actually. Well, this pretty much wraps up most of our time. But I did want to ask, is there anything you want to tell, the audience before we wrap up?
Well, for one, Adrian, thank you for having me on the podcast. I had a great time. For anyone listening, you can follow UpFront Entertainment on Instagram. UpFront ENT is the username, and just hit me up, shoot me a DM. Let's chat. Let's talk about music. If you have any ideas, let's just throw some fucking parties, man. Let's have a great time and enjoy the music.
Man. So that's UpFront ENT. Where can the people find you on Instagram?
You find me. My Instagram is just Boogs, Boogs, just like it sounds. And yeah, that's me, man. I'm Boogs, I'm Brandon, and I'm UpFront Entertainment.
Hell yeah. UpFront Entertainment, guys. stay tuned. We're gonna have amazing parties
Yes, sir.
coming soon. So please keep that in mind and get ready. But hey, that wraps up today's episode. I hope you guys had an amazing experience watching this. If you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to share it with your friends. Peace out.
This is Zanaya.
It's the righteous vigilante Jamon Creek, and you're tuning in to Minds Wide Open. Hey, yo, check it out. This is Namestream, never mainstream. You're tuning in to Minds Wide Open Media.
Shout out to the Florida Vibe Directory. You are now listening to the best playlist in South Florida.
And that's a wrap.
All right. Fuck yeah. I knew there was one thing I was forgetting to say. I was the Florida Vibe Directory. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I knew there was something. I apologize.
Oh, man.
That was pretty fucking cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
That's podcast.